go to business.facebook.com, that's the foundation of how we're going to be doing our audience research. It should take you to your menu where you'll have your ad accounts and your pages. Go to your ad account. There's a couple different ways to do this. I'm going to show you both ways and then show you how I actually do my research. If you go to this, the 3 lines here, which is called a hamburger menu, and it limits it to those 3. You can hover over all tools and the rest will show up. We're going to click on Audience Insights. And so this is a tool. If you are having a brain fart and you just don't know what else to look into, this will help you. So what this does is it gives you ideas. So if you go here under interests, for example, for my product, we mentioned that we would probably target moms. That's a very obvious. So if you go here under motherhood, basically what Facebook will do for you is just let you know, hey, these are some other interests and things that your existing interests that you entered in might also be interested in. So these are some of the common job titles that people with motherhood are. But what I really like to look at is this page likes, and it'll give us some big brands that they might like. And it's for you to decide if you think this resonates. So for example, if I were selling a $100 mom product, I may choose Nordstrom's over Old Navy just because of the price point of both of those brands. So, there is some discernment that you need to make as you're going through this. And so this is where you can get a lot of ideas. Affinity means that the interest you chose, so this is the interest we're looking at right now, motherhood, these are some of the things, other interests, page likes, and the likelihood of them liking those. So these are actually pretty low. I would actually look for ones that are at least 90 or higher. So these are pretty low as far as the connections go, which makes sense because just because you're a mom does not mean you shop at Big Lots. There's really not the kind of connection that I'm looking for to be able to dial in my audience. The moms I'm targeting might enjoy some of the cooking related shows and people, and so that's another option, or specific baby brands such as Gerber. So this is where you can get more ideas. The goal is to write down as many interests, brands, groups that you can come up with that match any of the audiences that you want to test. And so the way I organize this is in my Airtable. So under the interest groups, there will be bigger categories here, broader categories like different websites and things. And I have a document also that lists all of these different categories for you to allow you to jot down as well. And so once you've kind of created your different groups, you can enter it into the Airtable. Here's the overall broad groups, and then within that there's the more targeted group and your potential reach. What I mean by potential reach is if I were to target motherhood, I will be targeting 90 million to 100 million people. Now that's a bit broad. Like we're talking people, they might be a grandma because they have gone through motherhood. So it's a huge broad group. Who I'm trying to target is someone who might have a toddler in the house. So that's definitely different, and I would adjust this so that the ideal targeting here as far as potential reach is somewhere between 1 million and 5 million. That's a good sweet spot. And so going back to how I organize, these are all the categories. Again, I'll be sharing this template with you so that you have this for your reference as a starting point. Here's one where it's filled out just to give you an idea. So here's the interest group, the more broader groups. This is the main titling. Here are the grouping of this section, and then here are some of the more specific interest names and the potential reach for that falls under this. So these are some of the charitable organizations, and then these are more of the current events and trending topics. So here's an example of how I might have this audience, and that's 2 audiences. This is a bit high, so what I would do is combine all of this and then have a subset where it says but must also match, and then have one of the bigger audiences here, or must also match something eco-friendly. And so that would lower the 15 million down to something a lot smaller. And so this is how that would be organized as you do research. Let me show you exactly how I actually do research and kind of put the items together. So we're going to go back here, go back into your ad account. Another way to have gone back is go back to the hamburger menu and then go to your ads manager. I ended up closing the window. But let's go back into our test campaign. Let's move over to ad sets. So all of this that we're doing right now is under ad sets. If we go to edit, basically this is where all the audiences are. So first of all, we're gonna come back to custom. That's a whole another section. What we're focusing on right now is people who live in the US, because I don't want to ship this anywhere outside of the US at the moment, 35, 65. is good. I could probably go a little bit lower. I think people can be moms at 25. I think for now, English speakers would be ideal because everything will be in English. And then here we have the interest. So as I mentioned before, it could be families that like to travel. So let's just say frequent travelers. But now we're talking like having frequent travelers, it could imply singles, people of all ages, right? Well, I guess not all ages, but all walks of life in this age range. And so what I would do is click on narrow research or narrow audience, and it would be that they would also have to be a mom. So they're frequent travelers who's also a mom. And so if you notice, so it went from frequent travelers, which has way over a million, a billion people, down to, if we add the mom, we are now down to 50 million. And that's still pretty big because these are, again, like really broad topics at the moment. And the more that I add, sightseeing, tourism, it starts to get smaller and smaller. And so one way to find out, the main thing you'll start to notice is that it's really hard to find interest in here at times. Sometimes you're typing in, like I was typing into sightseeing, and that word wasn't showing up. So the key to this Airtable is to have all the interest names that are actually in Facebook. Like I could say someone who likes, let's just say someone who likes Connie Pack. But as you can see, there's going to be no Connie Pack. I'm not big enough to have my own interest category in Facebook, but maybe it's someone who likes Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart is in there because she's big enough, like she's recognizable, so she has her own interests. So think of more interests, and I like doing it right in here because I can guarantee that it's in there. But another thing too, I'm gonna delete this so we can go back to the main one. If you type in mom, you probably notice down here, it gives you suggestions. And this is a good tool as well. Don't go a little too off tangent though, because teen mom is probably not my audience. Coupon mom or thrifty mom may not either. It's kind of pricey for a pair of scissors. So it's not like a budget item necessarily. And so just because it has the word mom does not mean it should be one of the ones that you choose. But refer to some of these suggestions that they give you. That's a great place to start. Another as well is that they do have some of their own categories. So if you know like the education level, the life event, parents, this is a very common one where I can choose parents with kids of different ages. So this is definitely very important for mine. Or if they have an interest in certain industries, this is the one with the food, if you're selling some sort of food product, fashion, if you're in the fashion space. So these are some really great preset interests for you to go through. So that's definitely always one of my main audiences where I just use the ones under, you just click on the word browse and it shows up that menu. So that's definitely one that I have as one of my audiences. But other than that, that's the rest is me coming up with, okay, maybe they enjoy HGTV. Maybe I've noticed that a lot of my buyers seem to have an interest in it. And be careful because you got to read, this is where your employer has HGTV. That's not what we want. It could be this one. Another way to do verify this, just to make sure you know, because there's a few different ones on here. Open up your Facebook and actually type in HGTV. Was it Dream House? I think I saw that. Dream Home. Dream Home. So that's not one I'm looking for. It's only got 1,000 followers. It seems like it's someone else's small channel. What I'm really looking for is this one, HGTV or HGTV Dreams, if that's something. And so you should look HGTV. This one only has 40. We should be looking for one that has about 9 million. So you can see that these have small sizes, 5,000. So many people are creating pretty much the identical names, so you really have to be careful and make sure you're choosing the right one.
Comment or subscribe if you'd like to continue hearing more. Thanks!